Most yards in America have the same invisible problem. The beds are maintained, the lawn is cut. Someone is clearly working out there and the garden still does not look the way it should. Not bad exactly. Just unfinished, like something is missing and you cannot name what it is. 9 times out of 10, the answer is the same. There is no backbone. No plant doing the permanent, season-long work that makes everything around it look intentional. Annuals cannot do that. Perennials get close but disappear every winter. Only a shrub builds permanent garden structure. The right shrub in the right spot does something nothing else in your garden can do. It makes every other plant around it look like it belongs there. Today I am showing you 5 shrubs worth planting right now. Everyone earns its space across more than one season. Everyone comes with the exact mistake most gardeners make and how to avoid it. The shrub at number 3 is the one experienced gardeners reach for constantly, and almost nobody else has tried. Stay with me. Drop your USDA zone in the comments right now. I will be calling out specific zones throughout this entire video. Drop it below. Shrub 1. Panicle Hydrangea. This belongs at the top for one reason almost no gardening content addresses directly. The blooms change color on their own. No product, no intervention, no pH adjustment. The flower heads open creamy white in July, shift to pale pink as nights cool in August. And by September, they have deepened to rich blush that holds well into fall. That color change is purely seasonal, driven by dropping temperatures. And it requires nothing from you except not cutting the blooms off before it happens. Most flowering shrubs give you 2 weeks of color and 5 months of green filler. Panicle Hydrangea gives you July through October. The September version looks better than the July version. That improvement through the season without being asked is what makes this shrub genuinely different. Varieties worth knowing. Limelight starts chartreuse green, shifts to white, turns pink. Gets large, 6 to 8 feet, so give it room. Little Lime is the compact version at 3 to 4 feet, better for smaller beds. Pinky Winky is the most dramatic, bicolor blooms white at the tips, and deep pink at the base. The color progression is the same across all 3. The mistake. Panicle Hydrangea gets planted in too much shade constantly. People hear hydrangea and assume shade because of big leaf types. This is a completely different plant. It wants full sun. 6 hours minimum, 8 preferred. In heavy shade, you get leggy stems and sparse bloom. In full sun, it is a different shrub entirely. Prune in late winter, cutting previous year's stems back by 1/3. Skip this, and the plant gets tall and open with smaller bloom clusters. 1 pruning restores it. Hardy in zones 3 through 8. Shrub 2, Ninebark. The most underused shrub in American residential gardens given what it delivers and how little it asks for. Ninebark is a native North American shrub. It co-evolved with native insects. Seed clusters after bloom feed goldfinches and chickadees through fall and into winter. It handles late frosts, summer drought, wet springs, and clay soil without complaint. The varieties worth growing are the colored foliage types. Diablo has deep burgundy leaves from spring through fall, closer to black in direct sun. Dart's gold goes the opposite direction. Bright chartreuse yellow that holds color through the season and creates bold contrast with nearly any neighboring plant. Tiny Wine is compact burgundy at 3 to 4 feet for smaller spaces. In winter, the exfoliating bark peels in layers of cinnamon and copper, giving the plant genuine presence when completely bare. That 4-season sequence is rare and worth planning around. The mistake. Planting burgundy varieties in too much shade. The darkest foliage color develops in full sun. In partial shade, Diablo shifts toward greenish-purple and loses the depth that makes it valuable. Dart's gold is the exception. In zones 7 and 8, afternoon shade protects yellow leaves from scorching and keeps color clean through summer. Clay soil, wet areas, dry slopes, poor fertility, Ninebark handles all of it. Remove the oldest woody stems at the base each spring. Alternatively, cut the entire plant back to 12 inches every 4 or 5 years. It regrows fully in one season and blooms the following spring without skipping. Hardy in zones 3 through 7. Shrub 3. Vigala. This is what experienced gardeners reach for constantly, and most beginners have never seriously considered. Because most people have only seen the old version, the plain green-leafed type with pink flowers in older suburban yards, that version is fine. The modern varieties are a completely different argument. Wine and Roses has deep burgundy leaves from the moment it leaves out in spring. Hot pink flowers cover the plant completely in June, then back to dark dramatic foliage through October. The contrast between near black leaves and bright flowers is dramatic enough that people stop and ask what it is every single time it blooms. Midnight Wine is the dwarf version at under 2 feet. Works in containers and small borders. Spilled wine mounds wider than it grows tall. A useful, low-growing front-of-border plant with far more visual interest than anything you would typically place there. These varieties need full sun. In partial shade, the burgundy turns olive green, and the plant loses the contrast that justifies planting it. Now the mistake, and this one costs a full year of bloom. Vigala blooms on wood it grew the previous summer. Every flower bud you see in June was set on a stem produced last July or August. If you prune Vigala in early spring, cutting it back, cleaning it up, doing the same maintenance you do on everything else, you remove every one of those buds. The plant produces green growth all summer while you wonder why it never flowered. Correct timing: prune immediately after bloom in late June or early July. Cut stems that carried flowers back by 1/3. The plant spends the rest of summer producing fresh growth which becomes next year's flowering wood. Get the timing right, and Vigala blooms reliably every June. Get it wrong once, and you wait a full year. Hardy in zones 4 through 8. If you are still watching and not subscribed, here is the practical reality. YouTube stops delivering content from channels you do not follow. Not slows down. Stops. This channel puts out zone-specific, experience-based gardening content every week. Content that saves you from decisions that cost a full season of performance. Hit subscribe. It is free. It will always be free. Shrub 4. Potentilla. It blooms from June through the first hard frost. Requires almost no maintenance. Asks nothing special from the soil, and it keeps blooming through October while every other shrub on this list has finished. That duration is the entire argument. And it is a strong one. Potentilla fruticosa produces small flowers resembling wild roses. The bloom is not showy the way a Panicle hydrangea is showy. The effect is quieter, more continuous. Abbott's wood has white flowers against blue-green foliage. Plant it in front of a dark Ninebark, and the combination reads as deliberately composed in a way that is genuinely difficult to achieve with more complicated plantings. Happy Face Yellow stays compact at 2 feet with clear yellow flowers. Pink Beauty runs softer for situations where yellow is too assertive. The mistake is not in how people grow it. It is in neglecting renewal pruning over years. A potentilla left unpruned for 5 or 6 years develops dense woody interior growth and produces fewer flowers from progressively weaker stems. The plant looks tired and diminished. The fix: cut the oldest woody stems to the ground every 3 to 4 years. Or cut the entire plant back to 6 inches every 5 years. It looks alarming afterward. By midsummer, it has regrown completely and blooms through fall as if nothing happened. Full sun is non-negotiable. In shade, bloom production drops sharply. Lean soil, rocky ground, slopes. Potentilla handles all of it better than most shrubs on this list. Hardy in zones 2 through 7. Northern gardeners in Minnesota, the Dakotas, Maine, climates that eliminate many flowering shrubs, grow potentilla without winter protection of any kind. Shrub 5. Viburnum. The most underplanted genus in American residential gardens given what it delivers. Most people skip it because the category is too varied to shop without knowing which species you want. The solution is knowing two specific ones. Korean. Spice viburnum produces intensely fragrant white to pink flowers in spring. The fragrance rivals lilac and blooms slightly later, extending the fragrant shrub season when both grow in the same garden. Fall foliage turns burgundy red. It reaches 5 to 6 feet slowly and works in any mixed border where you want fragrance without the full size of a standard lilac. Plant it near a gate, a porch, or a window open in May. Hardy in zones 4 through 8. Arrowwood viburnum is a native species adaptable to a wide range of soils and conditions and one of the most important shrubs for native birds in the American East and Midwest. Blue-black berries in fall are a major food source for migrating birds in September and October. Handles wet conditions, clay soil, and partial shade better than most viburnums. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. Among the most broadly adaptable shrubs available anywhere in the country. One practical note most content skips. Most viburnums require cross-pollination between two different varieties for reliable berry production. A single plant blooms but sets minimal fruit. Two plants of different varieties growing within proximity of each other produce the berry display that makes viburnum genuinely valuable for wildlife. Buy two. The berry production in fall is worth every square foot. Prune immediately after bloom finishes in late spring. Both species bloom on old wood. Pruning in fall or early spring removes next summer's buds entirely. 3 principles. 3 minutes. Everything changes. Plant heights in a triangle, not a line. A row of shrubs at the same height produces a hedge, not a garden. Tall plant at the back, medium flanking, low at the front edge. Panicle hydrangea behind, weigela in the middle, potentilla at the front. 3 plants, 3 heights, 1 composition that reads as designed rather than assembled. Foliage contrast is the most durable form of visual interest. 2 plants blooming together create a moment. Dark Ninebark beside golden potentilla, burgundy weigela beside blue-green viburnum. That contrast creates interest every day of the growing season, including the 10 months when neither plant is flowering. Flowers are the accent. Foliage is the foundation. In informal plantings, odd numbers always look more natural than even ones. 3 potentilla plants along a path look like a decision. 2 look like there was not budget for a third. 3, 5, or 7 of the same plant placed casually looks right in a way that 2 or 4 never does. Drop a comment with your USDA zone. And which shrub fills the biggest gap in your garden right now? I read everyone. If this video gave you one decision you are making this season, subscribe right now. Practical, specific gardening content goes up every single week. The next video is already coming. Make sure it finds you.